We're playing through Mission 1, First Contact from the introductory set. It's the opening scenario in that starter set, and it strips bolt action back to its absolute core. No vehicles, no artillery, no special rules, just 2 small infantry units, a handful of dice, and the fundamental mechanics that every game of bolt action, from a kitchen table to the World Team Championships, is built on. These Americans are going to use the gold dice here, and their opponents, here are the Germans, they're going to use the white dice. The red dice there we're going to use as pin markers. 1 unit each. Your objective is simple. Be the first player to destroy the enemy unit, and that's it, the whole mission. The setup follows the mission plan in the introductory set. The table is approximately 3 by 2, give or take, and we're setting up the Americans in the far corner here. They're going to use the gold dice, and back across here in the other corner we have the Germans, and the Germans are going to use the white dice. Then we pick up the dice for each. The German white dice goes into the bag, and then we take the Americans' gold dice, and that dice also goes back in the bag. 1 dice each, 2 dice in total in the bag, and that's all that goes in for this first game. And here's why it matters, because the bag is about to become the most important object on the table. This is what makes bolt action completely different from almost every other game you'll play. Every turn you draw a die from the bag randomly, and whoever's dice comes out, that player activates one of their units. They give it an order and the unit acts. Then you put the dice to one side and draw the next one. So the turn sequence isn't I go, you go, it's random. It could be your dice twice in a row, it could alternate. You generally don't know who acts next. And that changes everything about how you plan. Each face on these dice corresponds to a different order a unit can take. For Mission 1, we're working with 3 of them: Run, Fire and Advance. We'll cover the other 3, that's Ambush, Rally and Down, in future videos. For now, these 3 are everything you need to get you started in a game. So if you remember one thing from this section, remember this is about the order dice system. The die you draw is random, but the order you give it to your unit is your choice. You decide what they do. The bag decides who goes next. That tension, that's bolt action. And one more thing before we play the first turn. Every time a unit takes fire, even if no models are killed, it can pick up pin markers. Pins represent the unit being suppressed, rattled, losing cohesion under incoming fire. The more pins a unit accumulates, the harder it becomes to give it orders effectively. Enough pins and a unit can actually refuse to obey, or worse. For Mission 1, keep it simple. Being shot at has consequences even when the bullets miss. We'll see this come into play as we go. Right, let's draw the first die. So we're going to pull the first dice from the bag, and the first dice out is the American dice, and we are going to have a look at this. Where can I find it? We're going to place a run order on the Americans first. So we place the dice down here, and then we're going to take our ruler. Now, for a run order, we always measure in inches, and we always measure from the front of the base, not the back of the base or the middle, but we measure from the front of the base. We can't pre-measure, so we have to declare what the order is first, and then we can order. So we're going to run these guys 12 inches. So we get a measuring tape, and we place the dice at the end there, and we know that figure can move up to there, or any distance in between. And then we place the tape measure on the second one, he could move up to there, and then the last figure, he could move up to there. And all the time they have to remain within 1 inch of each other when they finish their move. Now, the second dice out, once they've run, they can't do another action if it's a run. That's double a normal advance move. So the last dice out must be the Germans. So the Germans are also going to do a run move. Just forgive the shadows while I move round. And we're just going to do the same thing with them. Taking the ruler, we're going to measure out 12 inches. I'll place the dice at the end with the run order. And he will move up to there. And then we can measure the other models out. Up to there and up to there. Again, keeping within 1 inch. And that's the end of the turn. Because we run, we can't shoot. So that's the run order. Now, we put the dice back in the order bag, shake them about, and then we will see who comes out. And it's the German dice. Now, this time, we're going to have a look at the fire order. The Germans are going to do a fire order. So, let's have a look. We'll put the fire order down here, and then we'll prepare to do the shot. Now, a fire order means that the unit doesn't move, but it fires every weapon to its full effect. In mission 1, all these models are carrying a rifle as their weapon. Shooting works in 3 steps, and these 3 steps are the same in every game of bolt action that you'll ever play. Step 1, we check range. We measure from the closest edge of the firing model's base to the closest edge of the target unit. If that distance, in this case for rifles, is 24 inches or less, every model with a line of sight can fire. So let's try that. So here we've got 24 inches, and we can see that all these models are easily within range. So we have 1 dice per weapon here. They all have 1 shot. And we have 3 weapons, so we have 3 shots. So we gather up the dice, and we want to, initially we hit on a 4, 5 or a 6. So we roll the dice, and we have a 3, a 4 and a 6. So we have 2 hits. And now we need to roll to wound. So we roll these, and in this case, the troops are regular veterancy, so we would kill these troops on a 4 potentially. So we roll, and 1 wounds and kills, the other 1 wounds but doesn't kill. So one of the Americans is going to be removed from the table, and we're going to use one of the pin markers that we have. Let me just go and get one there. Now I'm going to use these different D6 dice just to show the pins. Using these ones, I'm going to turn it to the 1 so it shows there's 1 pin on the unit. And what veterans, if they had no pins, they wouldn't need to take an order test, but because they're pinned, they now need to make an order. Now that is with 2 dice rolling 9 or less usually, but if they have a pin, that reduces by 1. So they have to roll 8 or less to be able to carry out the order. So we'll roll 2 dice. And luckily it's a 5 and a 3, so that's 8. So that means they pass their order because it's equal to or less than 8. They remove the pin now, and they get to fire back. Now they've only got 2 weapons, 2 rifles, which are firing back, and we do the same as we did for the Germans firing at them. We measure out the range first. We can see they're well within the 24 inches. They have got line of sight. So we're going to roll these 2 dice, and on a 4, these would potentially hit the target. So 1 hits and 1 misses. And then we need a 4+ because the Germans 2 are regular veterancy, and see if that wounds. And it doesn't. However, because they've been hit, the Germans do take a pin. And that would be the end of that turn. And again, we gather up the dice, put them in the bag, and we move on to the next turn of the... Now with the dice in the bag, give a wee shake, go ahead, and who's it going to be this time? And it's the Americans this time. Now this time we're going to demonstrate the advance order. So we've moved the dice to show the advance, and we're going to put the advance down by the models. Now on an advance, and this is the tactical option, it does 2 things. You can move and then you can fire. So in advance order, you can move up to 6 inches, have the run distance, and then you can deliberately prepare to fire. So let's measure the 6 inches first. Because there's no pins on the Americans, they don't have to pass an order test, and they can just move. So we'll move him 6 inches. He comes to 6 inches, and he can move 6 inches too. So we'll move him to 6 inches, keep him within an inch. There we go. Now, we do the same 3-step process as we did for firing before. So each of these guys has a weapon. So they get 1 dice each. It's still a rifle. They're still within, we measure range first. They're still well within 24 inches, which is the range of the rifle. They get 2 shots, 1 for each weapon. And we're going to roll to see if they hit. Now, this time we've got a 3 and a 2, but it's going to be harder to hit this time because they've advanced. So they take a penalty of +1 to hitting. So normally they would hit on a 4, but this time they were hitting a 5, and both of those shots actually missed. So no damage were done. The Germans don't take another pin because they weren't hit. And now it will be the Germans' turn. And the Germans are just going to pull a dice out. They're going to advance and fire. So we've turned it to the advance order, and they're going to advance and fire. So now, as we can see, the Germans now have a pin, and they need to make an order check exactly the same way as the Americans did. So again, their veterancy is regular. So they would need to roll 9 or below to pass, except we have a pin on, so that reduces it by 1. So they now need to roll an 8 or less to pass their order. Now, they haven't. They've rolled, this is a 6 on this dice, so they've rolled 11, so they failed their order, which means they can't do the test. And what happens is they now go down, which is one of the other orders, and they don't take the pin off. That would be the end of the turn, and back into the bag go the 2 dice for the next turn. So here we are at the end of the game. A sad loss for the Americans. The Germans have managed just to win it. It's been brutal. They've just been firing. And that's where the game ends. One side has been completely obliterated. And that's the end of the day. The Germans live on to fight again. And if a unit dies completely, everybody's wiped out, the order dice is taken off the table, it leaves the game. So if we had multiple units, they'd be 1 unit down and 1 less dice in the bag now. Right, let's make sure the key things stick. The order dice bag controls who acts next, not you. Accept and work with it. Every activation is a decision made under uncertainty. 3 orders in this game: run to move fast at 12 inches, fire to shoot at full effect without moving, advance to do both but with a -1 penalty on your to hit rolls. Shooting is 3 steps: check range, roll to hit on a 4+, roll to wound on a 4+, the target player picks which models they lose. Pins accumulate even when no one dies. A pinned unit is a unit under pressure, keep track of them. And the game ends the moment 1 unit is destroyed. First blood wins for this mission. So if you remember one thing from this video, remember this: bolt action rewards the player who understands the order dice system, not the player with the most models, not the player who rolls best, the player who understands that random activation isn't chaos, it's tension. And tension is what makes every single turn matter. Mission 1 only uses 3 orders, and there are 6 total. Ambush, rally and down are the 3 we haven't touched yet. Each one adds a layer to how you use and react to the order dice draw. The full game introduces cover saves, morale checks, vehicles, artillery, and everything that makes bolt action what it is at the competitive level. But none of that matters until you've played Mission 1. So sit at the table, drop those dice in a bag and play a game. If you want to go further, I've got videos covering list building, competitive strategy and the full meta right here on the channel. Links are in the description below, and I've got lots of things for those of you who are new to bolt action. And why not like and subscribe down below while you're at it to be instantly updated when new content drops. Got a question about Mission 1 or the rules? Drop it in the comments. I read every one and I'll answer them directly. Love to hear how your first game went. Take care, guys. Talk to you again soon.